apart again, is notice on this side, the loom wires that come through have got two big wires coming out. Big one here, going in, and this guy here going into the module. So two big guys coming in there. But on this side, you've got a lot more little wires. Now, down at the catch down here, the wires were this color coding. There was a brown and a black, and I've just unplugged that, and it's stopped the catch from working. So this one, which comes around underneath and goes, if you have a look, actually goes down into the door there. It doesn't go into the module, it goes down into the door. So my theory initially was that the tailgate latch was rubbing with the brake light, and the tailgate light is coming through this side. And guess what this little guy over here is? That's the power to the LED strip, the brake light. So they are going through together. So I'm going to unwind and investigate this and maybe find two strip wires where it's touching. And if so, that will solve the problem. But it is on this side, which is driver's side in Australia, passenger side in Europe and America. So there we have it. Tailgate latch wires are running on this side. The glass, wires are running on this side, and also the stoplight wires are running on this side. So as I showed you before, from the switch inside here, it's just about closing that circuit. That's the type of switch it is. When the circuit gets closed, it powers up and opens. Now, that being the case, I should be able to just short out these here. Now, don't try this at home, but I'm thinking if I join those two pins, yeah, perfect. So shorting those two wires together opens the tailgate. So either these wires being bare and touching will be causing a problem back here through the hinge, or also touching the brake light can be causing a problem, or maybe all of the above. But that's the type of switch it is. Just shorting across the contacts opens the tailgate. Comes on here, but we're also going to have to undo this in order to get that clamp off there and get access to these loom wires. So this is a spring-loaded, it's not a huge spring, but it's a spring-loaded spring for the glass. So when we undo this, that is going to want to open up. So we'll have to keep that in mind, because unfortunately this loom attachment in the top here is attached to the bolts that hold the hinge to the glass. I'm ready to undo these bolts. I'm thinking, because this hinge clamp is here, I'm going to want to leave the glass down and latched. So I've uncrimped the two little knobbles on the black bit underneath. I've opened them up and pulled it forward, so it's separated at the back, ready for once I get it here, we can separate it and bare those wires and have a good old look-see at where we're going. We may have to open the glass. I don't know how it'll go with one hinge, but we'll see, in order to get through to the wires, but we'll just see where this break is anyway. I'm assuming it'll be at the other end. So here we go. I'm going to take these hinge bolts off and just see exactly how much tension they're under and see exactly what's going to happen here. Yep. It's coming up. It's coming away from the glass, which is a good thing. Yeah, I can hold that just with my fingers. Undo that. Undo that. It's not too much of a stress at the moment. Yeah, okay. I caught that on video. You need to hold that down. That has launched something. Not that clip, but the other bolt has launched forward, hopefully not landing on the bonnet. Got my clip off. But yeah, they are under tension. And you know about it. So I found my bolt. It didn't mark the bonnet, thank goodness, but it had hit the wall in front of the car and was back underneath the car. So it had fairly launched it. I hope that's really quite tight. I hope I'll be able to pull that back down and bolt it on. I may have to lift the glass up to get it back on. But for now, what we need to do now is unwrap these wires and bare it down here to see if there's any breaks or shorts or anything like that. What I've done now is unplugged all of these loom plugs here from these guys, and this one's already unplugged from the spoiler coming off. Now I can pull that back, so I'm going to go in now and pull all of that through. I know the wires here are good, so I'm going to pull it through so I can inspect it from the inside. This is in from the speaker hole, and then I'll be able to have a look at the wires and look for breaks. The glass doesn't go up and down well just with one side. You've got to support it, and the last thing I want to do is go and break it or put too much stress on the one hinge. So I'm going to open up the entire tailgate, not just the glass, climb inside, pull that loom through, and I'll be able to fully inspect it and see how it's doing. Okay, so by loosening up the loom on the other side, I've pulled it back here. This is where it runs into the car, and this is where I've pulled it back until it was bared, and look what I've gone and found. We've got ourselves a wire that is very bared and open, and that would be hitting on things. Now I don't have two wires, so you know, I don't have another one here with a break or a crack that I can see that's lined up, but I sure as heck have got one, so I can repair that. What I've been looking for is to find something that I could fix to try and stop this crazy tailgate opening situation, but all the rest of the wires really do appear to be okay. It's just that one where that one's clearly got himself squashed or pinched or outside of the bracket or something, so I will insulate that again. None of the metal wires are broken, which is interesting. Brown ones that I was particularly looking for, they all look okay. So we'll tape that up, and because you know, it could have been livening up the case, or who knows what was going on. We'll see what happens. I have put insulation tape on over the broken wire, and now I'm going to put insulation tape on to rewrap these wires as far as I can, this end up to here, and then I'll pull them back through again, wrap the rest of it to protect them, put it all back together, and I'm confident that will solve the problem. Wrapped it on the inside, and then pulled it through, and look at that, where I'd wrapped it has come through to there, so continue to wrap that up, so it's all protected and nice and safe all the way through, and I can do the same with the other now that I've found the break on that side, and get him all protected and put the covers back on. We push this back together with the T25 Torx. There's just one screw, it slots on, locks into place on the other side, and that's the wiring loom in the roof back in place, and then the speaker can go back on. Top side, it's just a matter of positioning this so that all of the loom can comfortably reach where it wants, and don't pull it tight. You don't want tension on those wires. You want it as loose as you can, and as loose as you can this side. Then we'll put the other black half, clip it back on here, straighten all that up, and then we'll bolt it back on here, and we'll reattach that hinge. So there we go. I've got the two metal halves back together and clicked them back together. One of them, the back one, I never took out, but I've got these clicks back together. The bottom I'll click once I've got it down. This fits in place, locks in. There's a movable plate here which has to sit back where it was. Again, the dirt marks are very helpful to let you know where that was. No stress in trying to compress that hinge back down in order to get it into place. All you have to do is fully open the tailgate, and then you can put the bolts on and it'll all be attached again. So there we go, bolts are done up tight, and this is all plugged back in again. So now we'll have the electric tailgate working again. We'll bring the tailgate down and start to tidy things up, pack it all up. Okay, so I've given all that a bit of a clean up the top here, put the module back together, and then put that cover back on. Now you absolutely have to make sure that sits down happy, and if it's all over the place, I'll be putting some silicone on, but that was perfectly dry inside and it sat back down again good over the clip to keep whatever moisture gets inside of there out of those electronics. So I'm happy with that, and it does have a top and a bottom. You'll see here the little hump that's in the lid, that's closer to the top, so that's a shorter distance to the top, bigger distance to the bottom, so if it won't go on, you might find you've got it upside down. Okay, so we put this plug here back in, and my ribbon wire seems a bit funny, but the ribbon wire on mine coming out of that LED, it could be an aerial, is just simply going under the lip of that rubber seal. It seems like a good way to introduce water. Anyway, if yours is any different, put it in the comments. And then over here there was the washer water comes up through there as well. Now, looking at this little hexagonal plug here, if you look above it, you'll see that big circle and slot. That is actually what's holding the spoiler in place. So when you push it down, you need to get the big circle of that over that big hexagon, and then slide it up into place, and then we do the bolts up from the inside. So that's what you're lining up. Two of those, and they are what do the main holding. You can see it there, the hexagon, and that'll lower down onto the big hole and then slide up and be tight and held in place. Just checking the gap up the top there, and opening that up, and yeah, the bolts are lining up, and there's washers as well to make sure you're in place, and then we can just simply put this back in. Again, don't do them up super tight to start with. Something like this that needs to align. Get it all lined up. I had quite an ordeal with this taillight switch, and over a longer period of time repaired it. Have a look at the link that's come up right now for a playlist, and you've got all sorts of videos as I've worked through this one, just lubricating the switch, replacing the switch, and working on the wires. All of the different options, they're all covered here. So have a look in that playlist and find the one that's best going to help you. Good luck.